turn this cheap frame into this chic frame. Or enhance your beautiful artwork with a lovely frame like this. It will look better and it'll sell a lot better. The very cheap frame is here. I added wood from the DIY store here. In other words, I'll show you how to turn a cheap plastic frame into a beautiful frame like this that's fit for any art gallery. Wait no more. Let's get started on this wonderful creative project. Here's your supply list. You may already have a cheap frame that you retired from the wall and stuck somewhere in the garage. We call this 1x3 wood, but it's not really 1x3 at all when you measure it. Small hand-driven miter boxes are on sale on Amazon for under $12. But if you have access to a chop saw, that's even better. Wood glue. This is the inexpensive wood glue that I use, and it works great. There are many different qualities of gesso, but for this project, you don't need to be too particular. Terracotta paint is a great color for undergold leaf. For silver leaf, try black. Inexpensive gold leaf on Amazon works very well for this project because you're going to antique it anyway. Gold leaf size is the adhesive that gets the gold leaf to stick to just about any type of surface that you want. I'll tell you about aging mediums and glazing mediums when we come to that part of the project. 1x3 wood is very appropriate for this particular framing project. 1x3 wood, of course, is not exactly 1 inch by 3 inch. Don't worry too much if the miters do not exactly fit. It's hard to get a good miter corner. If there are cracks in the corner where the mitering happens, you can fill them in later with spackling paste or wood filler. There are fancier devices that hold corners together while they're being glued, but this one is just fine. I've used it for years. Put some paper or plastic under each corner so that it doesn't stick to something that you don't want it to stick to. Then glue each corner before tightening the strap. I don't know why, but I love this part, tightening the straps. Then I just leave it alone, let the glue do its thing until morning. I really like to use spackling paste for the corners, and here are 2 different kinds. When you're certain the glue has bonded, release the catch on the cinch strap. Now it's time to sand. I start with 100 grit sandpaper. Make sure the joints are even all the way around. A hand sander will make this a lot easier, and if you don't have one at home, you can rent one for 4 hours or for a day or a week from Home Depot or some other DIY location. When everything is nice and even, I switch to 320 grit sandpaper to make it even smoother. You don't want any grain showing in the wood because the gold leaf will enhance it even more. Use a clean rag to wipe off all the wood dust. I found some spackling paste in a tube. It works pretty good. And I use a real unique tool to smooth it down. It's called a credit card. Let it dry and then sand it smooth and you're ready to go for the next step. Since this is a cheap plastic frame, I like to use E6000 glue to make sure it's going to stay in place. The glue was a little old, so I had to surgically remove it from the belly. Double check the frame front and back to make sure it's in the place where you want it. Use a ruler or tape measure to make sure it's directly in the middle. Look at all the different moldings I found at Lowe's DIY. They have such a variety there. There was one I really liked in this section, and it was very affordable, so that's the one I got. I mitered the corners of the molding and then fitted around the small frame. It was looking better already. There are many types of gessos. This happens to be an inexpensive one, but it's okay for this project. Let the gesso dry thoroughly and then sand it a bit before giving it one more coat of gesso. The gesso was a little thick, so it wasn't going on as smoothly as I would like it. So I added a little Floetrol. That's better than adding water. This brush is a little small, but it's very soft and doesn't leave lines behind it. You can see how nice and white the frame is now. Dry, so it's time for one last sanding. This inexpensive gesso tends to peel, so be careful not to let that happen, otherwise you're going to have problems on your hands. Now, this is where we should talk about bowl. Bowl is a clay product, comes in different colors. Bowl is generally used when applying real gold leaf. It is a wonderful undercoat, and it's usually terracotta color. To skip the bowl, have some terracotta color mixed up at a DIY store. They can make little sample jars for you. I use cinnamon from Home Depot. Painting doesn't come anywhere near what bowl can do for gold leafing, but at the very least, please give at least 2 coats of paint to the frame. We have come to an absolutely disgraceful point in this project. Gilders would be horrified. Amazon offers a large variety of adhesives for gold leaf. Polyvine has a good reputation. Paint on a very even coat of size. Do not leave puddles because the size has to dry evenly. Size must be sticky but not come off on your fingers. Go do something else while it gets sticky, but don't wait too long. Don't be in a hurry to apply that gold leaf because you apply it and it's not sticky enough yet, you're going to make a mess. For this project, I decided to use up some size that I had had for many years. It was still very fluid, so why not? The sales tag on the cap said $2.25. I looked up that same product on Amazon and it's now $10 more. As you can see here, I am only applying size to half the project at the time because I don't want it to get out of control and dry too fast before I can apply the leaf. If you are using water-based size, be sure there are no white spots as you see in the lower right-hand corner. Everything should be absolutely clear before you start applying the gold leaf. It's important to remember that if you are using water-based size, be sure to wash out your brush immediately after painting. Otherwise, if you come back to it in, say, 15-20 minutes, that brush will be very hard and you will not be able to wash the size out. Depending on the project, leaf can be cut to a manageable size. Leaf will get wasted if you try to go over too many curves with one large sheet. As you can see, this cut sheet of leaf just fits over the outer portion of the frame. Some people who do gilding use wax paper to smooth it down. This could be okay and work well for you, but if you're going to apply some kind of glaze, it might act as a resist to not accept the glaze, and you'll leave spots where the glaze won't show up. Use stray bits of leaf to fill in areas where the gold is missing. Sorry to interrupt, but if you are enjoying this video at all, I would appreciate if you subscribe because it supports the tiny pension I get from working at the health department. Overlapping pieces of gold will blend into each other after they are thoroughly brushed. Actually, I think it looks pretty cool to show the areas where different pieces of gold have been applied. Then that looks like real gold leafing. The other half of the gold leaf is working really well to apply over the top section. For this project, I'm going to leave little void areas where no leaf shows. I will just paint patina there to enhance an aging look. I'll show you what I mean later in this video. Cut narrower strips of gold to fit into smaller areas. I'm so glad I'm not working with real gold leaf. Faux gold leaf is called Dutch metal and made with a composition of copper and zinc. However, it is mostly copper. It's great to have a variety of brushes on hand for different aspects of the gold leaf process. This brush is very thin and soft. It's great for poking gold leaf into tight crevices. I really love this part. It's smoothing all the gold down and making sure that everything underneath is really sticking. Notice that I'm using a different brush for this final step of smoothing all the gold down. Oh, look, I changed brushes again to get into smaller areas. Look how the entire frame is slowly starting to smooth out. It's almost ready for the next step in our cheap to chic journey. It helps to stand the frame vertically as you brush away the gold and it falls to the table. Make sure you catch all the places where the adhesive was not working. I put down a clean cover for the work area in my kitchen. It was just nice to have a clean space in this final area of the antiquing stage. Now it is ready for the creative process of making it look hundreds of years old. I'm starting with a product called Patina Green. I pour some in a little container that probably used to contain Mexican salsa. It looks like that's a little too much patina because you need very little to make it look old, so go very easy. This product can eat up the gold if you put on too much. Notice how I'm applying the patina to areas where the gold does not show. Then I'll go back to the areas where my artistic sense dictates. This part of the process is truly up to you as an artist. And I feel everyone has an artist within. It's just the way they bring it out. The patina will not show its reaction right away. Sometimes it depends on the temperature in the room and also how long you wait. You can see the patina that has been applied to the corner is starting to get a little bit of reaction. A very tiny brush is used for applying patina in the crevices. Work slowly with the patina, building up as you go, and then waiting for the reaction to take place. You can see here how the patina is starting to provide that beautiful patina-like color. This is a tricky spot in the antiquing process. You'll need to experiment with the type of finish you want to give to your frame. I'm offering you a few ideas that I've already experimented with. At least it'll give you a few ideas of what's out there for you to use. You might find a lot of the products that you can use for antiquing are in your very own kitchen. Ammonia doesn't always create a spooky face like this, but it is kind of clever. Sriracha sauce didn't do much, but it's worth experimenting with. I like the hydrogen peroxide because it gives off a little patina. Lemon juice and salt really didn't do very much. I wasn't impressed by the possibilities offered by black tea. Perhaps a different type of mustard would have worked. Frank's hot sauce works just about as good on gold leaf as it does on chicken wings. Whatever this was left the wood really sticky. White vinegar in full strength makes the gold bubble. Patina green gives the most dramatic result. Apple cider vinegar is very promising, but I'd have to experiment a little more with it. Folk art glaze works well for me, but keep it away from the patina green. Brie wax can be clear or tinted. I like to use the tinted. Always experiment with a glazing medium or decorator varnish before you use it on your entire project. This one really sealed the gold on the frame, but it made it all turn brown. A crackle finish is very dramatic, but it can be a little tricky to use with gold leaf. Prepare for a little experimentation before using it on a frame or furniture. It could be a challenge. You might want to spray it with a fixative that's probably going to preserve the patina. I have found that Krylon workable fixatives works pretty well for this purpose. For the glazing process, I have found that brown folk art glaze works really well. However, you have to avoid the patinaed areas, otherwise it's going to wash them out altogether. Take care when buffing off the glaze. It's absolutely another part of the creative process where you need to use your own skills. The glazing process is pretty forgiving, so you can rub some on and then rub it off and then rub it on again. Rather than painting on a heavy product to seal your work, I like to start with a light fixative. Krylon workable fixative works really well for me. 1 or 2 light coats of spray ought to do it. It helps to go to a certain step and then walk away. Come back later when you can have a fresh look. See where the glaze has wiped out the effects of the patina? And the patina has wiped out the effects of the gold. The paint is showing through. Although the varnish will save your work, I have not found a varnish that will not destroy the brilliance of the gold. I use a brown-colored brie wax. This wax preserves the beautiful luster of the gold leaf. I usually let it dry a bit before polishing. Oh, it looks like I polished my hand a bit also. So here's the sample frame I made for you. It went from a very cheap plastic frame like this to a very expensive looking antique gold leaf frame like this. I invite you to check out my other videos that will help fill your day with lots of fun and enjoyment. Remember, busy days make for a happy life. See you later. Bye-bye.